Alrighty, back and I'm better. Oh, what is happening, party people? Forgive me while I put this dewy on. I'm learning to cut my own hair, man. Sometimes it don't look too good, so you gotta go and roll with the punches. I'm a little late to my stream today, but for good reason. But for good reason. I had a had a session at one, lasted a little bit, but for good measure and for good reason. And it inspires a conversation today that I think is really important for you all to recognize that you don't have a relationship problem like you say you do. And we are actually here to talk about it. So, welcome in. Be sure to drop in the comment section where you're watching from. Happy Wednesday. Tomorrow is the official kickoff of 2026. Well, it's already kicked off, but 2026 preseason. 2026 preseason, gang. It's going to be a fun time. All right. I'm excited for football. I hope you are. Um, so as you're coming in, be sure to drop your location. Where are you watching me from? All right. Where are you watching from? And what is your life satisfaction rate on a scale of 1 to 10? Y'all know when I bring my whiteboard out, we mean business. And it is extremely important for us to be able to identify what the real problem is that we have. A lot of people say that they have a relationship problem, when in reality, it's not that. Yes, you blame your significant other, they what they don't do, what they don't have. I can't date. Dating is horrible. The dating pool is awful. All the things. And this is us being able to address that from a healthier place, more outcomes centered, okay, especially for my high achievers out there, okay, because this is something that's going to pertain to you guys most. Um, because this is going to pertain to you guys most. If y'all hear some laughing, that's my nephew. Um, because a lot of people who are, especially in these lanes of high achievement, y'all struggle with this the most because y'all are, one thing I've noticed too is, man, high achievers are quick to get rid of people. If you're not making money, you're not making sense. And I'm here to tell you that there are some moments where that makes sense, and then there's some moments where it don't. And we're going to talk about the difference between the two. So shout out to Cassandra in the building who is watching from Minnesota and at a 7.5. What's got you at a 7.5 today? Cassandra, let me know. Shout out to her. Appreciate you for your consistency and showing up in these streams. Um, what is happening? Welcome in, Twins Touch. How you living? Where you watching from? What's your life satisfaction rate on the scale of 1 to 10? I'm gonna get this whiteboard ready because we're gonna jump right into it. We don't got a whole lot of time. I told y'all these streams about to be quick, fast, and in a hurry. So have your notepad, have you something to write with. You gonna need all this smoke. Okay. Shout out to Chances in the building, Metal in the building, Lara in the building. Good to see you. Good to see you. Okay. Um, and I'm gonna draw this infamous triangle here. Okay. All right. EMA. Okay. Pass my test. Let's go. Shout out to passing tests in the building. Eating mango. I'm content. Sound like a good day to me. That's what I'm talking about. Welcome in everybody over on YouTube. It's your boy Coach Sean. If you're unfamiliar with me, I'm a faith-based relationship coach, helping high achievers and actually create healthy relationships in the same way they create healthy businesses. Okay. So be sure to drop in the comment section where you're watching from and your life satisfaction rate on a scale of 1 to 10. It'd be great to meet you and see you in the chat. Shout out to everybody in Twit and TikTok joining in. Again, as you're joining in, be sure to drop your location where you're watching from and what is your life satisfaction rate right now on the scale of 1 to 10. Okay. This is going to be a quick conversation. What's up, Elizabeth? Good to see you. Hi, how are you? What's your life satisfaction rate on a scale of 1 to 10? How you feeling? Happy Wednesday to you. So I got to get y'all this, man. Okay. It's not a relationship problem. Okay. It's not a relationship problem. that we are. Ooh, got a new marker. Okay. That we face. All right. And this actually goes to a lot of different things that we'll experience in life because a lot of us think that we have a problem. It's not, a lot of us think we have a problem when we really don't. A problem with a solution is a choice, as my good friend Dr. Elijah would say, is that many of us don't have the problem that we say we do. I'll add my remix. A lot of times we just either don't like the solution that's in front of us to take, or there's a solution, okay, or we're not present enough to create a solution, okay? And so this is something that's going to help us be able to determine where you fall in that and then how this makes sense for your relationships moving forward. Okay. Where you watching from, Elizabeth? Let me know in the chat. I'm glad you're doing great. That's amazing. Again, everybody else coming in, D Boy. Shout out to D Boy, Dimfo, 7x7 Maniac. What's up? Why are you so happy? Because today is a good day. Okay. Appreciate you joining in. Be sure to drop your location and where you're watching from. Y'all do me a favor, come in, like the live, share it with others. All right. There's some people who would love to come in. Beans, what's happening, Beans? Good to see you. Where's your life satisfaction rate at on a scale of 1 to 10? How you feeling? Okay. But we're gonna go ahead and get into this. This is being recorded. This is also on YouTube, so you guys can go and watch the stream replay. I got to get this out to you. Okay. Because when people say that they have a relationship problem, I just want to set the stage. Okay. Hey, I appreciate you, Quan. Man, good to see you, fam. Good to see you. I'm so glad that you're doing well and to hear from you, man. Over on YouTube. So listen, a lot of us don't have the relationship problem that we say we do. What do I mean by that? Okay. Well, number one is that a lot of times the first thing that we like to do when we get into relationships, things start getting exposed. Behaviors, patterns, mechanisms, beliefs, all these things start getting exposed. The very first thing that we run to is, I have a relationship problem. I have a girlfriend problem. I have a wife problem. I have a husband problem. I have a marriage problem. I have a conversation problem. I have all these things, right? All these problems that we're quick to say it really is. Okay. And we have to recognize that a lot of that stuff is surfaced. Okay. That's just the things that we see. That's the things that we're running up against. That's the wall that we constantly fall into. Okay. That's the struggle that we're constantly running into every day that doesn't seem to change. Okay. But we're naming symptoms, not actual rooted issues. We're naming symptoms, not actual rooted issues. It's easier to say you have a dating pool problem, a singleness problem, a relationship problem, a marriage. It's easier to say those things because that's just what's in front of you. It doesn't cause you to really think about what you're doing, your role, your engagement. It doesn't cause you to reflect. It doesn't lead you to consider. It only has you looking at who's in front of you, what's in front of you, and saying, if this were gone, I'd be okay. All right. If this were gone, I'd be okay. For all of my high achievers out there, you're going to really want to listen to this because that is actually where a lot of you fall into this category. Because your quickest answer when it comes to your business, when it comes to your finances, when it comes to your health, when it comes to all these different guru steps, tips, and tricks, your first thing is to look at and say, man, if it's not making money, it's not making sense. The first thing you like to do is to rid of what's in front of you. Okay. Because it's just simply better to not deal with it than it is to deal with it. And listen, y'all, and there are some cases where that makes sense. There are some seasons in life, some things you experience, some people you'll come across, some seasons you'll have where it makes sense to eliminate something. It makes sense to not force ourselves to stay where we are because we're realizing that it's causing more harm than good. Here's the uncomfortable truth that a lot of you are unwilling to face in this healing space is that oftentimes what is actually making it uncomfortable isn't what is happening to you, but what is happening to you is exposing about you. I wish I had my soundboard. I don't. A lot of times the frustration isn't actually what is happening to you. It's it's the fact that what's happening to you is exposing in you. It's what's being exposed that is the problem. And a lot of times what's easier to deal with than the exposure is the surfaced issue. Ridding of the job, ridding of the people, ridding of the relationships, got to get a lawnmower, got to get the scissors and cut them off. That's why we've celebrated so many songs and so many artists and so many people who are quicker to remove things from their life, okay, than they are to actually work through what's in front of them. Because we live in a culture where it's easier to rid of things than it is to actually address it. And here's also a pattern that we see oftentimes in these spaces is these are the same people that will scream to the rooftops how healed they are, but have not gained an ounce of patience that healing is supposed to produce. So instead of actually dealing with these things from a patient lens, we would much rather look at life and say it's much easier when I don't have this. I don't need to deal with them. I don't need to deal with that, and all is well. And if you are somebody listening to this live who actually wants applicable, tangible peace in your life, peace in your relationships, to land healthy relationships and make your relationships as healthy as your business, as healthy as your work, as healthy as your finances, somebody who has been succeeding and successful everywhere else, and yet it looks like in your relationships it's piss poor. We have a mechanism problem, we have a mechanical problem, but it's not a relationship problem. It's not a relationship problem. It's not all the different things that we're quick to label. It's what's being exposed that we have to catch in order to create a difference. And I'm going to show you what that means. Okay. I want to first explain what's on this whiteboard. If you guys have been here any length of time, all right, y'all know that one, I love my whiteboards. Okay. I love my whiteboards. But two, this one triangle with EMA is really a foundational setup to a lot of what we discuss here. Okay. Because what's in the center we have right now is a relationship. Okay. Because this is where a lot of y'all are at. I got a relationship problem and I need your help, coach. I got to figure this out. I got a conversation problem. I got a relationship problem. I got an emotion problem. I got a boyfriend problem. I got a breakup problem, whatever it is. Okay. Got a problem. And how we typically like to deal with this problem, okay, is one of few things. We like to dwell in it, okay, play victim by it, okay. We sometimes like to hurry through it. Maybe we act like it's not there. All right. Maybe we, go the extra lengths. We fast for it. We pray about it. And that's not to say those things are bad. Those things are good. Okay. There's some good things we do. And then there's some extreme things we do. And then there's some things we do that aren't helpful. But this is a chart that helps us understand exactly what is happening. Okay. Okay. It's not clear. Can you see it now? How is that? Is that better? Abor, let me know. EMA, you see 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. And then relationship in the center. It looks backwards for me, but I hope y'all can see it. Put one in the chat if you can see it and this makes sense. Kind of. Let me see here. I want to make this as clear as possible. Okay, Cassandra says she can see it. Is it clear? Just trying to fix some lighting here. I got a couple things going at once. You guys see that glaring light in the middle of it. But like if you, all right, how's that? And as I update it, I'll be sure to, okay. I'll be sure to, yeah, there's a glare, but you can get the idea. Okay. So I'll deal with the glare. All right. YouTube, this is the board right here. All right. And then this is the board TikTok. All right. I'm streaming on a couple different platforms. So y'all bear with me. Okay. So we're going to take our time. All right. And in this, I want y'all to, even if you have something that you can write with in front of you, okay, maybe you just want to follow along. I just got this light bulb in front of me, man. It's disgusting, but we'll work it. Okay. So experience, meaning, and action. That's what EMA represents. Okay. Experience, meaning, action. All right. We're going to get to these four corners here in a minute. Okay. But when we typically have a problem, it's in the center. And there's three decisions that we're making daily regarding what we're experiencing, whether it's something new or something different. The experience meaning action. So when we talk about the experience, well, what's the decision that we're making when it comes to the experience we're having, the life we're living, the things we're seeing? Okay. This decision is where we're going to put our focus. Y'all gonna get y'all getting this for free. Okay. It's really where we're putting our focus. Okay. That's for the E. Experience, the decision we're making is the focus. What are we focusing on? Lack or abundance. Okay. With this triangle and any experience that we're having, there's two things we have an opportunity to focus on: lack or abundance. What I don't have or what I have. What I don't know or what I know. What I'm certain of or what I'm uncertain of. Okay. What I'm without and what I have. We have a choice, and that is to put our focus on either lack or abundance. Okay. So, with any experience, there's two choices: what's lacking and what's full. And what am I going to put my attention on? Then we have the meaning. Okay. That's the M at the bottom of the triangle. And here is where we put our story. Okay. For the M, okay, we're putting story. That's the meaning. When we talk about meaning, we're talking about story. When we're talking about story, we're talking about meaning. There's an experience that is had, and there's a meaning that we're attributing to that experience. Okay. There are meanings that we're injecting into that is creating some form of emotion, feeling, doubt, thought that we either stew in, we dwell in, we over identify with. But regardless, it's a story. Okay. I'm going to give an example at the end of this for all this to make sense. And then we have A. Okay. And A stands for action, or in other words, behavior. Okay. Just so you guys have an awareness of what this board is: experience, meaning, and action. Experience, we're deciding our focus. Meaning, we're deciding our story. Action, we're deciding our behavior. Notice all of this is based off of what we decide, not what we're forced. What we're decide. We have the ability to choose where our time, energy, and focus is going. I'm telling you this not only because you're talking to somebody who's living these things out, but is a coach who literally is helping hundreds and thousands, I mean, too many people to count. Okay. When it comes to dealing with relationships in a healthy way and in a secure fashion, especially those of you who are high achievers. Okay. Those of you who are ready to make decisions in your relationships, trust your ability to recover from decisions that you make that don't have favorable outcomes. You're tired of second guessing, being a massive overthinker, caring too much and too deeply for people who don't give the same. All of this is for you. I need you to take some notes and lock in. We have experience, meaning, and action. The decision is where you're putting your focus, lack or abundance. The meaning is where you're deciding your story. What does this mean? What does it mean about me? What does it mean about my relationships? What does it mean about my future? What does it mean about my life? We have the ability to decide and create that. And then there's the action, which is determining your behavior, how I'm going to how I'm going to move based off of the meaning and story I'm giving to what I'm putting my focus on. Okay, let's give an example. Let's say that you are going through a breakup. Okay, coach, I got a breakup problem. My girl left me, my man left me, and I don't know what to do. Okay, I don't know what to do. I'm just filled with so much pain in my heart. It's disgusting. Okay, we got a breakup. So we have three decisions that we can make, and we have to not just make this one time. These are decisions that we're making consistently. These are decisions that we're making in every area of our day. It's not a decision that we just wake up and choose and then the rest of our day flows naturally. You're going to have so many things that you're engaged with every day that disrupt your thought, that disrupt your emotions, that disrupt your day, or that just show themselves. Okay. For those of you who are on social media watching this live, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a day you come in the day and you're feeling good until you see a clip that reminds you of the craziness going on in the world. You go from happy to sad. And then you go to a next clip that reminds you of something funny. And then you go to a next clip that gives you some relationship advice. And then you go to a next clip that does something funny before you go to the following clip that reminds you of just how crazy life can be. It's everywhere, back and forth. Okay, so you're very aware of what that feels like. And it's not a decision that we just make one time. It's a decision that we're consistently, constantly making in every area of our life. Follow me. Okay. I'm going through a breakup. Okay. So we have a decision to make. What am I going to put my focus on? I'm going to put my focus on the fact that she left me, the fact that he just ghosted, the fact that maybe this person just decided that, on a random Wednesday that they no longer wanted to be in the relationship, that they told me no. Okay. I'm going to focus on all of the lack that portrays to that. Okay. This person said that they were done with me. They no longer wanted me. They were no longer interested in me. They were looking for something else. I'm rehearsing and replaying the conversations, the text messages, all the things. Okay. Or am I going to focus on the abundance? What is abundant about a breakup? How in the world does a breakup become abundant? Well, a breakup can become abundant because I'm focused more on the fact that this leaves opportunity for the right person to still come in my life. Some people come and go, some people stay, some people go. Now I get an opportunity to focus back on what I think is most important for my life, my business, my career, my finances, my health. Okay? Something good has to come out of this in some kind of experience. I'm going to focus on the abundance. Then we have the story. Well, this is kind of what, in a lot of ways, this is going to either affirm whether we're looking at things through a lens of lack or through a lens of abundance based on the story that you quickly tell yourself. Because for some of you, the story you quickly attach to the breakup is I'm not enough. I'm not wanted. No one wants me. I'm not valuable. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy enough to be kept, but I'm worthy enough to get somebody to where they need to go for better. And then there's some of you who will look at this same breakup with a different story. Okay. That maybe they're blind. I don't know. Maybe, just maybe, that this does not mean that I'm not enough. This doesn't mean that I can't land a relationship. I'm ready for a relationship, and I'm ready for a relationship with the right person. That I'm enough for the right person who will choose me, see me, value me, and want me. Okay. The story that either reflects the lack you're focusing on or the abundance you want to choose. Hang with me, because then this will also explain the behavior. Because the story and meaning that you tell yourself regarding the experience, okay, is actually what's going to push the behavior that you move with. So if you're someone who's telling yourself, I'm never going to be chosen, no one's ever going to want me, and we're moving reactively from an emotional survival state regarding a breakup, your behavior is often going to be what? Probably not going to date. Probably don't see yourself dating, not just anytime soon, but ever again. Okay. You might go on TikTok and become a professional man hater, woman hater, womanizer, all the labels we'll give. Maybe, just maybe, you'll move with the behavior of listening to your favorite R&B artists in dark rooms and never coming out. You're not eating. You're nauseous. You're sick to your stomach. Okay. Maybe for some of you, the behavior is you just make your job and your work your spouse, your idol. You chase more money. You chase more fame. You chase more fortune. Okay. You do all these things. Maybe for some of you, okay, I got to close my door. Y'all give me a second. Maybe if you're the person that is looking at this and you're saying, well, I actually believe that I'm valuable enough. I'm worthy to be a chosen. This just because this relationship doesn't work doesn't mean no relationship will ever work. Okay. Well, now the behavior is different because now the behavior is I'm still looking for the right person, open to date, open to love. I am still making connections with friends. I'm still making connections with others. I'm taking my time to intentionally heal because I'm believing for marriage. I'm believing for relationships. I'm believing for all these different things. Okay. Maybe, just maybe, My behavior is actually getting my life back into alignment and agreement with my values, because I realized in my last relationship, I abandoned quite a bit to have this person. Okay. The behaviors are oftentimes a reflection of the stories that are oftentimes a reflection of where our focus is. And if you focus on the lack, you'll stay at the bottom of the mountain of this breakup that you can't get over. Okay. You'll stay at the bottom of this mountain at this breakup that you can't get over. But if you look at abundance, the mountain of the breakup never changed. The breakup still happened. Nothing external was ever really different, but you overcame. And you're at the top of the mountain, not because the mountain itself changed, but because your internal world was what now has capacity to engage with this same mountain differently, that gives you the ability to live beyond what happened to you. This is where a lot of you want to be, but there are 4 things that that are in your way from getting here in your relationships. Having a healthier relationship, having a healthier connection, having a healthier marriage, being able to keep a man, being able to keep a woman, being able to date successfully and allow your relationships to be just as first class successful as your job, as your career, as your business. The very things that are keeping you from being at this top of this mountain, being able to engage, not just with breakups, we're just talking about relationships altogether. Getting over your breakup, yes. Healing through your breakup, yes. Having a successful relationship, yes. Okay. Trusting yourself, yes. All these things is what's going to help us make this make sense. But there's 4, okay, 4 things that are in the way that are keeping you from that. Okay. Put a 1 in the chat if this is making sense so far. I'm about to give you these 4 things. I'm gonna open the floor for Q&A. And I got you. 4 things that are keeping you from being able to do it, from being able to have the relationship you want, have the healthy relationship you want, and actually overcome a lot of the issues and struggles that you're having relationally. 4 things are in the way. We get this, and we're actually going to make some progress. Okay? Give me a second. Let me close my door, and I'm coming right back. Put a 1 in the chat if you're ready for those 4 things. Oh. That door's still open. It's kind of crazy. All right. Well, let's get it. Okay. The number 1 thing that's in the way of you overcoming anything that you're labeling as a relationship problem. All right. The number 1 thing is this word right here. Can't read it backwards. Belief. Belief. Number 1 thing. Belief. All right. This is probably the number. Now, it's not necessarily, I won't necessarily say in order these problems. Just know that they're all in the same similar vernacular. Okay. But belief is among your biggest problems. Why is belief a problem? Well, if you have a hard time believing that something can happen for you, what are the chances that the very thing you are wishing to happen for you will actually happen for you? Just put a number out there. Put a percentage, but in a percentage from 0 to 100. Okay. If you genuinely don't believe that something can happen for you, what are the chances that that very thing can actually happen for you? Just put a percentage out there. Put it in the chat. What are the chances? Thank you for the go heart me and the popular Jenna. Thank you so much. Oh, it's dark. Hold on. There we go. Okay, somebody said it. Shout out to Cassandra. 0. Okay, 0. I would agree. If we don't believe that something can genuinely happen for us and we're moving in a state of wishful thinking, hoping and praying and fearful and allowing fear to guide our every move and decision, this is the very thing that will halt us from being able to not just overcome what we're considering to be relationship problems, marital problems, financial problems, emotional problems, whatever problem that we're trying to label. It will be the very thing that will keep us from experiencing the life that we ultimately want to live. Belief. Now, there's 3 stages to belief that you have to understand in order for this to make sense. Stage number 1 is profession. What are you saying? What are the words that you are repeating? Not just out loud. We're not talking about some form of manifestation in a weird culture way. Manifestation is a legit thing. It's just not used in the way in the manner that culture uses it. Okay. Even Jesus referred to manifestation, but not from the sense of the way culture does, where you can just speak things into existence. Okay. It's the belief of what was once unclear now becoming clear. So anything that was once unclear that now becomes clear, it's a format of loading in. Okay. Jesus mentions this about his disciples, praying over them in the section of John 13 to 17. It's somewhere in those chapters specifically. Okay. Without going too deep into manifestation and those kind of conversations, that's less about where we're going. But I want you to understand that there are 3 levels and layers to belief, profession being one. What are you saying? Okay, there are plenty of people who can believe in something. I believe that peace is essential to relationships. I believe, okay, that communication is important. I believe that anybody who wants to be in my life must align with my values. I believe that. Okay, profession. But then there's another stage to belief. And that stage is action. This is what separates those who say it versus those who live it. Okay. This is how we get people who profess that they know God, they know Jesus, they believe, they have a faith, they're spirit filled, and then make decisions that completely contradict the very profession they've made. They say they believe in Jesus, but yet they steal from people. They say they believe in Jesus, and yet they're doing nasty things with other people. They're predators and all these other kinds of things. Because what is being professed isn't actually behaved and aligned in action. So even though profession is a stage of belief, it's not all that there is to belief. And at the same time, we also recognize that belief being the centerfold of the very faith that you claim, okay, being a believer, being a Christian, okay, we only need a mustard seed of faith. Those things are just as legit. A stage of belief in profession is just as legit. It doesn't necessarily mean that we don't fully believe until we experience all these things. We just recognize that there's deeper layers to belief that further proves one's true beliefs. Okay. So there's profession. What are you saying? Then there's action. What are you doing? Do those 2 things align? Okay. If you say, I believe that a relationship that is peaceful is what makes most sense for me, and yet you keep running back to the toxic ex that is anything but peaceful, but yet keeps you folded like a pretzel, we have a problem. You're saying one thing, but you're not doing it. If you say you value trust and communication, and yet you don't repeat those things through behaviors, okay, you're constantly betraying other people. You're constantly intentionally not communicating things. You're unwilling to grow in those areas. We have an issue. Okay. If you say that you believe, okay, that my values are what's most important to me when it comes to relationships, And yet you throw them out the window anytime somebody attractive comes your way, and you'll tell yourself we can figure it out along the way. We don't really value what we say we do. So there's profession, then there's action. Then there's another stage of belief that we all have to be aware of. Okay. In this stage, I still don't have a necessary big word for it yet. I'm going to just put it in a quick sentence. This stage of belief is giving us the ability to move by faith, not by sight. So even though we don't see it, I'm still believing it's something that can come to pass. Okay. If you think about the definition of faith, okay, the definition of faith is faith is the substance of things hoped for, evidence of things unseen. I don't see it in my reality. However, this is something that I'm also able to embody and walk as if I already have it. Okay. This is a stage of belief that brings to life a lot of the things that we're asking God to do in our lives. We want God to do in our lives, but yet our reality doesn't exactly quite match it. You've been praying for your spouse. You've been praying for your significant other. You've been praying and doing all these things to bring to life what you're praying and asking God for. But realize how those prayers don't automatically turn things around in your favor externally. Isn't it interesting how God may give you, when you ask for patience, he'll give you things to test your patience, for you to see where your patience genuinely is, so you can put to work what it looks like to grow in your patience. Okay. Just like for anybody who creates tables, a carpenter, something along those lines. Okay. God never once created a table. He never once created a sofa. He never once created a technological device for which all of us are able to connect and grow with one another in community through. What he did create, okay, was the basic tools necessary, and in the right hands, through one person who had a creative mind, intent, detail, design, took those core things, put them together, and created a masterpiece. He just created a tree. And the carpenter looked at the tree and saw a table, a chair. He saw benches. He saw all these other things that he was able to take that same wood and cultivate and create. That took a little bit of faith to be able to see, belief to be able to see. And you're not going to be able to get past certain things in life without having a measurement of belief that what you're wanting can come to pass. If all you're believing is that what you've already seen is not only just what you're going to see more of, but nothing can ever change, you're rehearsing a story that is going to intentionally keep you from being able to see the best in the situation and put yourself in the best position to create something with what's left. This is why a lot of you who are in situations and pains and experiences in life and can't get ahead isn't because somebody is always trying to put you down and keep you out of the world or keep you out of the system, keep you out of the section. Oftentimes, it's because we're so focused on the lack that we don't even see what's possible through lens of abundance. We're not even putting ourselves in position to see what could be. It's not because those options aren't there. It's because we're so zoomed in on lack, we can't see it. And dwelling in lack is oftentimes what is playing a hindrance on belief. And it's not to say that we can't be human and we can't experience those moments where lack isn't present. We just have to be honest and aware that when it shows up and there's something else differently that we can invest in, we make a decision to do just that. Belief, okay, is the first thing that is a hindrance. You don't actually have a relationship problem. You have a belief problem because you genuinely don't believe that change could actually happen. You genuinely don't walk and believe and embody as if The relationship you want to experience is actually out there to be experienced. You say you want marriage, but there's a cognitive dissonance present in your mind because although you say you want marriage, you don't live like you're looking for marriage material. And you most certainly don't live as if you're becoming marriage material. It's not that that relationship doesn't exist. You're just not carrying the belief that it can actually happen for you. Two different things. You would be surprised how many times in this seat I have engaged with people who will come to me and say, man, I have this problem. I have this relationship problem. I have this marriage problem. I have this, I have that. And one question that always seems to stump them when we get to the question, when we get to the curiosities, is just, hey, so do you believe you have a relationship problem or you just don't believe that there's anything out there for you to have? Do you really believe that all men are trash or just the ones that you've dealt with? Do you really believe that no one out here is really looking for marriage? Or is that just a belief and story you've rehearsed because of the experiences you've had that you can only speak to, but it's infatuated, or as I shouldn't say infatuated, it has infected your belief that there's something out there for you to experience. Okay. You'll be surprised. Man, you're kind of right. I've just been looking at all the wrong, all the negative, all the lack. And truth be told, I just don't know if it really will happen for me. If you talk to a lot of people out here in this space that are man haters, woman haters, okay, whatever you want to call them, they live in this place where they only focus on the lack from the very few women and people they've experienced. And at the core of it, there's a lack of belief that what they want can actually happen for them. So, what's easier than challenging those beliefs and trying to engage in something that seems a little harder but is more beneficial is to just hate. And if you ask any girl who has ever been a part of that what they call them, y'all call each other men haters now, they'll get online and tell you, I sound like a strong man hater to my girls and my sisterhood and everybody else around me. But let that man come calling. And I'm gonna be a whole different person than how y'all initially met me. Y'all gonna be ashamed. I'm gonna be a whole different individual. That's not because in one way or another, there is a real crisis at hand. You have a relationship problem. No, it's because, in truth be told, we're not living in honesty. Okay. And truth be told, is there's a version of you that is portrayed to other people where you're lacking belief that these things can actually happen for you. So, number one, we have to get to a place of acknowledging that belief is more of a problem than the relationship. You don't believe that relationship can happen for you. You don't believe the relationship can heal. You don't believe the relationship can be restored. You don't believe that the relationship is actually available to experience change and to be different. Okay. So if we can actually build a muscle of belief that only takes a little bit, we're not asking you to have all the belief in the world, but if it takes just a little bit, that's all we need in order to see a difference. Here's number two. Okay. You don't actually have a relationship problem. You have an identity problem. Okay. Not necessarily in this order. Number one, belief. Okay. We said profession, practice, which is action. Okay. And we also said, I mean, I'm trying to sound cute with three P's, but I don't think I'm gonna get there. So I'm gonna just say uh profession, practice, and you know, uh visualization. Okay. I gotta be able to see it and receive it, okay, experience it and embody it, even though it doesn't necessarily match my reality. Okay. Number two is identity. All right. Identity. Well, what are we talking about when we say identity? Well, here's a great question. Okay. Thinking of I am statements. All right. Think of I am statements. Why is this important? Because a lot of times when y'all get into relationships, when any of us get into relationships, what we're quick to call as a relationship problem is actually the things that the relationship is revealing about us. That's the issue. Yeah. We don't like the mirror that relationships actually play a role in exposing in us. So it's easier to rid of the spouse, rid of the person, rid of the partner way before it really needs to happen. Not to say that there isn't a time and moment for us to do those things. There's a time and season for us to engage in those things, sure. But for a lot of us, we're checking out of relationships earlier than they actually have the opportunity to develop. We're checking out of situations that feel extremely stressful and uncomfortable and uneasy without giving our all, without giving all that we have, not because there's nothing left, not because I'm really tired and we're not compatible and we've outgrown each other and all the different reasons that we'll give. No, no, no. It's because there is layers of identity that is being exposed in this relationship that we're uncomfortable with. Because truth is, I need my significant other to respect me so much that in the event that they don't and they do something that comes off as disrespectful, I've attributed that to mean that they don't love me, they don't want me, and I'd rather do away with them than be with them. Because truth is, it is exposing that I need this person so much to fulfill this lack in my life that in the event that they're not who I want them to be, I am no longer okay. What's up, Merk? Good to see you. I am no longer okay in the event that they aren't who I wanted them to be. And this is really good. This is really important, especially for a lot of women. Okay, men do it too, but women specifically. Let me tell you why. Because there is a version of the man that you've envisioned yourself to be married to. That when you meet a man, you try to mold him into being who you visualized him to be. And when he doesn't fit that, for whatever reason, because of whatever 20% that actually you play a role in helping develop in him, he all of a sudden isn't the person for you anymore. So it's easier to walk away than it is to build. This is why a lot of women today, I know for 1000%, when you even say you want to be in a relationship, your behaviors and actions show that you want to be single because you don't want to invest in the vision and the cultivation of the man that you choose. You want him put together, who's a mixture of all the other men you've been with, bits and pieces, to put together to create a build a man that doesn't exist. And when he doesn't fit that, you now have an issue, more than an issue, because you'd rather bail instead of playing a role in cultivating the man that you ultimately want to be with, just like he's playing a role in cultivating you into the woman that you know you're called to be and the relationship that you want to have. We want it all on a silver platter instead of anybody playing a role in what is to be cultivated. That is an issue for a lot of women today. One of the greatest things that I've heard, and I do believe there's so much truth to it. Okay. Two things that women have to admit, a lot of women have to admit in their space of relationships, that you just want your man to be another woman. You want him to have all of this emotional sensitivity and connectivity, and you want him to be just another woman instead of the man that not only he's called to be, but the man that he is in his authenticity. That will always run into issues. Always run into issues. And so we play Build a Bear instead of acknowledging who's in front of us, who they are, what they're good at, their skills, their development, okay, their processes, how they engage, okay, all the things, and work with what's there to the best of our abilities as we play a role in cultivating what's left, what's remaining. Some things, what's missing that you're gifted at, that you have the ability to speak life into. But a lot of ladies don't like this kind of conversation because that's too much work. Because what we've done is we've allowed so many people to get on social media and talk crazy and continuously put people behind the eight ball because of reminding them not only of what they don't have, but then constantly telling them what they need in order to be qualified to talk to you. And you don't even have half the stuff that you ask other people to have to be connected to you. Ain't that crazy? Men do it too. Men do it too. It's disgusting. And this is why so many people are in places and positions of struggling through their relationships and their singleness, wanting to find a healthy relationship. Because you got all these expectations on people to be things that they don't have either the space and time to be, or you're forcing them to be with you, and you're missing the whole point of what it looks like to actually be with who's in front of you. You're focusing so much on trying to mold them into what you've envisioned a man to be instead of looking at the man that's in front of you and listening and being attentive and active and in some ways, for some of y'all, appreciative of who's in front of you and how that makes sense for the version of the life you want to live. Identity, I am statements. Here's another way of looking at this. What does this mean about me? Relationships are mirrors, y'all. And if we don't get to the place of looking at relationships as mirrors, we will constantly leave people who are exposing things in us thinking that it's them when it's really us. And we will literally go and look for other people who don't give us such a headache, only to find out it was what they were revealing in us that was the real headache. Because truth is, I'm not okay if you aren't okay. Truth is, I can't be full unless you are satisfied with me. Truth is, I am not comfortable, okay, with the life that's in front of me, who I am, secure in who I am, unless I have your approval. And this is some of the hardest stuff that you'll experience, but it's the most necessary if you want a long-lasting relationship. It's not a marriage problem. It's not a relationship problem. Sometimes it's what it's revealing in you that's the problem. And that's what we have to engage with and stay curious about, because if we don't ask questions and say, well, wait a minute, I was really bothered by that and I need to know why. This will be the very thing that we'll use to blame other people around us for, thinking it's a people problem. And that's why you go from relationship to relationship, boyfriend to boyfriend, girlfriend to girlfriend, husband to husband, wife to wife, person to person. And you notice a continuation of a common denominator that it's you. And that's something that we have to deal with, because there's something in those experiences that are revealing in us that we have to look at and say, man, that's shining a light on some lack in my life that I have to be willing to address. Identity. We have an identity problem. There's some belief, there's some identity, I am statements, okay? And there's some parts of me that are uncomfortable based off what this is exposing in me, that I'm not okay, and it's shining some light in some areas of lack. Final two. Okay. You don't have for some of us, and it's not a relationship problem. It's a belief problem. For some of us, it's not a relationship problem. It's an identity problem. Okay. For some of us, okay, it's not a relationship problem. It's a hurry problem. It's a hurry problem. You're in a hurry. Yeah. You're in a hurry. You got timelines, you got timetables, you got all these expectations that people need to meet and meet, hurry and quick and in a fast, and then, all the things. And because it's not met in a certain timetable, now it comes back to the trace of the belief and maybe even the identity, the story that you tell yourself, right? That because if I don't get married by age 30, then I'm a failure. I'm not enough. I'll never be chosen. Marriage is over for me. God doesn't want me married, and I might as well forget about it. All these things that connect to one another, all because we're trying to move at a timetable that we don't need to move at. And hurry is honestly one of the greatest issues that we see today. One of the greatest, in my opinion. Maybe that changes within a few months. Who knows? Okay. Here's another way that we're moving in hurry. Let me give you a few signs. Number one, all right. One way we're moving in a hurry is when we're constantly on the go. There's no area for us to settle down, to settle in, to be in the present, to be at peace, to be abundant. There's no part of us in this movement of hurry where we think to ourselves that we're enjoying where we are. We're constantly telling ourselves there's somewhere else we need to be. I need to be here in my finances. I need to be here in my emotional maturity. I need to be here in my faith. I need to be this. I need to be that. I need to have X amount of money by this. I need to have X amount of income by that. Okay. Another way that we're moving through hurry is through unreasonable timetables. Okay. You told yourself that this was your year, and by the end of the year, you were supposed to be married. It's August 12th, and you ain't been on one date. Now we're recirculating the beliefs and the identity that maybe it's not for me. Maybe relationships just weren't meant for me. Maybe romance just wasn't meant for me. And we're still moving from reactiveness instead of responding with our beliefs first. Beliefs that are a reflection of abundance instead of lack. Going back to the chart. Because you believe and you're telling your story that because you haven't been in a relationship all year, that means that God doesn't want you in one, or all the things that maybe reinforces inadequacy, reinforces beliefs that you're not enough and you can't have. Now, what are the actions? We hurry. So now here's another sign that you hurry. You're settling for what's in front of you. You'll take the scraps. It doesn't matter who's in front of me. It doesn't matter what they believe. I can change them. I can fix them. And so now we're moving with a pace of lack instead of abundance. We're moving hurriedly. Don't forget that. Shout out to Dr. Elijah in the building. What's going on, my guy? We're hurried. And when we're hurried, we make poor decisions. Poor decisions. Okay? Let me give you another reason, another clue why you're moving in hurry, because you conflate love. You misconstrue what love is. You're attached, not in love. You're infatuated, not in love. We're following a lot of different directions that culture tries to teach you and tell you that, oh, attachment, having fun because I'm bored, because I'm lonely, because I'm this, because I'm that. And it causes you to make decisions from places of emptiness, shame, guilt, instead of wholeness, abundance, fullness, and trusting your ability to recover. Okay. Another way that you hurry is because you cling. You cling to outcomes. So it doesn't matter what somebody does. It doesn't matter what they say. They can say anything and do anything as long as the outcome comes true for you. Marriage, walking down the aisle, having a committed relationship, all is well. So guess what you do? You throw your values out the window. You get out of alignment and you just take what's there. This is a big issue when it comes to relationships. This is why I say you don't have a relationship problem, y'all. It's a belief problem, identity problem, and a hurry problem. You're in a hurry because there's something in your subconscious that tells you if you don't make it to this place by this time, then not only is there less available for you, but you're less meaningful, you're less valuable, you're not enough. The life you think you are ready to live, you'll never be able to live. All the different things that we'll tell ourselves. And then we'll say it's a relationship problem. Well, if I could just find somebody, if I can just have the relationship, if I can just go on the date, if somebody would just finally choose me, all this would be worth it. And it's constantly shining a light on lack instead of abundance. Hurry is incompatible with love. If there's no other note you take from this lesson, please take that. Hurry is incompatible with love. So the longer we live and move in hurry, the longer it is for us to experience the fulfillment that love truly has to give. That is a reflection of abundance, not lack. We know hurry is incompatible with love because the first description of love is patience. Patience and hurry don't coexist. And in order to be patient, you've got to be full where you are, full as you are, and whose you are in order to move securely in this rhythm. You don't have a relationship problem. You have a belief problem. You're not actually genuinely believing that something is available for you. Okay. You might profess it, but you don't practice it. And you most certainly don't visualize it. You most certainly don't embody it. You don't believe that that can happen for you. So your nervous system moves from an anticipatory place because you've rehearsed negative stories for so long that you're only looking for what can't be instead of looking for what can. This is also a reflection of the reticular activation system that's in your brain that the stories and beliefs that you rehearse most are the things that your brain will highlight quickest that matches your reality, which is why when you focus more and more on lack seems to continuously pop up in your life, not because abundance isn't present, but because you've learned and rehearsed for so long how to look for what's missing. So we have to reprogram ourselves over time by catching those moments where we constantly are pouring into those negative stories, and we replace it with more abundance instead of lack. Okay. Then it's identity, the I am statements. Okay. These are the things that you over identify with in said season when you don't have, when you aren't able. Okay. Who are you? Okay. It's an identity problem because a lot of the relationships that you're experiencing are reflecting lack in your life. And instead of constantly believing you need to change the other person to be okay, you have to be open enough to be curious and say, what is this experience revealing about me that actually is pertaining more to the issue I have instead of the person I'm blaming? Just like relationships expose you, breakups expose you, rejections expose you, all of these things, which then leads us to hurry, because hurry and love are incompatible. You're constantly trying to hurry to places, hurry to destinations, because you believe in the event of you not making it. We're coming back to the identity and the I am statements. Okay. You don't have a belief problem, an identity problem, or I'm sorry, you don't have a relationship problem. It's a belief problem, identity problem, hurry problem. I'm giving you the last one. Okay. Going through a rough time. We've been dating for a year, and it's genuinely weak love. Define weak love. What's weak love? Shout out to you in the TikTok chat. I appreciate you a ton. Define weak love, and we'll possibly jump into that. I got to give you this last point. Okay. Okay. Identity is probably one of the biggest ones. It's not real love. Define it. Define real love. Okay. The fourth thing that I got to get to you: belief, identity, hurry. Okay. And oftentimes, it's a self awareness problem. It's a self awareness problem. What do I mean by self awareness? I don't mean reflection, y'all. Okay. You probably can't see that. Let me put it onto the YouTube. All right, YouTube, you see that at the bottom? Self awareness. TikTok. It's kind of bent up there, but self awareness. Okay. Self awareness here. All right. Why do I say self awareness? Well, number one, because people have conflated self awareness with reflection. Just because you know something doesn't mean you're actually as self aware as you think. It's a beginning step, but that doesn't mean that you're as self aware as you think. There are so many people that come into my space and say, from like, repeat from the neck up everything. Oh, I'm so aware. I'm so self aware of my issues. I'm so self aware. I know what's going on. I know I have anxious problems. I know I have abandonment issues. I know that I need to work on this, and I know I need to work on this. And the difference between people who are reflective and people who are self aware is this one word: decisions. Decisions. The difference between people who are just reflective and people who are genuinely self aware is this word: decisions. Because when I'm self aware of what is happening, I'm able to grow in being able to catch this thing a little bit faster and a little bit faster in real time. So, guess what? Even though you're aware that you like to walk away when things get tense, you like to shut down when conversations get real, your ability to become aware of that in a moment, and instead of constantly running away, shutting doors, slamming doors, ghosting, and blocking, you actually say, you know what? This is a moment I'm learning not to walk away, and I'm trying to handle this in the best way possible. So I'm making a decision to stay in the conversation instead of leave because I'm used to leaving. That is when we're moving in self awareness, people. Not simply because you know how to identify it because of the language you learned from therapy and podcasts and all these things that you're so quick to cling to, and you have yet not a clue on how to apply it. Self-awareness is oftentimes the issue because we conflate it with reflection. And I'm here to tell you, just because you know how to identify your problem doesn't mean that you're actually moving in self-awareness through your problem. That's great that you learned the language. And some of y'all, to be honest, don't even know the language and use it properly still because you get your information from TikTok instead of actually looking to look through some things, put it into your real life experiences. We are not in a position where we are needing to just build on reflection, more language, more verbiage. You know all that stuff. There's a reason why the same brain that gets you to close big deals, close sales calls, clients, make big sales, boom in your business, success in work, and is the same brain that will literally look somebody in the face who ghosted you, came back around with a hey stranger text and said, "Hey, let's go for a date," is the same brain that told you that made sense. Tell me how. It ain't because you haven't looked at the podcast. It isn't because you haven't read all the books. It isn't because you don't know the language. You know exactly what's going on. The problem is you just simply don't trust your ability to make a decision and be able to recover in the event that the decision you make isn't favorable. Is anybody listening to what I'm saying, or am I talking to myself? Oh, my Lord. So this act of self-awareness gives us the confidence to be able to make decisions and trust our ability to recover in the event that the decision we made wasn't favorable. Y'all, the game has never been to get it right 10 times, to get it right 10 out of 10 times. The game of overcoming your relationship problem was not the fact that you needed to get everything right. It's about making aligned decisions. And here's the kicker, that even though you make aligned decisions, it doesn't always guarantee that the outcome is going to be favorable. It just means in spite of making the decision and it didn't come out favorable, I stayed true to who I am and who I'm called to be. And that is where the peace is. Some of y'all are losing sleep at night because you can't get over the breakup because they didn't choose you, and you're second guessing the authenticity you moved in. And I'm telling you that the authenticity you moved in is why you should be getting some rest, because somebody made a decision on you knowing you instead of investing in a version of you you don't even know. Is anybody listening? Good God from Zion. This is oftentimes what's keeping you from not seeing this as a relationship problem. You don't have a relationship problem. It's not a dating problem. It's not a dating pool problem. It's not a, I can't find love problem. It's not an arguing problem. All of that is surfaced. What we have to get to realizing is that when we move and act in places of self-awareness, this gives us the confidence to recover. If the game was about getting it all right, none of us would ever succeed at it. Okay? You should let go of the expectation to get it all right. And you should make the goal to be, even if I get it wrong, I trust myself to make another decision like it again. The goal is to say, in spite of getting it wrong, I still trust my ability to decide, to take in evidence, to look at the history, to look at the tangibles, and move from there. We should not, the measurement of your security is not getting everything right, y'all. The measurement of your security is your ability to trust yourself to keep making decisions in spite of getting it wrong. That's when you know you're recovering. That's when you know you're okay. That's when you know you're able to go to another level, not just in your healing, but in your dating. A lot of y'all would date differently if you trusted your ability to make healthier decisions. A lot of y'all would date differently and consider different people, take risk on different people if you were willing to say, even if this doesn't go right, I'm okay. And I trust myself to be able to recover. Y'all would date a lot differently. There's a lot of people you wouldn't consider, and there's a lot more people you would. There's a lot more business opportunities you'd be willing to take a risk at shooting your shot, sending some emails and sending some work over to instead of playing it safe. There's a lot of different decisions you make. This is why I say it's not a relationship problem, it's a self-awareness problem. A lot of y'all at the basis of it aren't honest. You're not honest. You lie to your coaches, you lie to your counselors, you lie to your therapists, and you lie to your family. You lie to people that are close to you who know the most about you, who you trust most. You lie to you. You lie to you. You lie to yourself about what you feel. You lie to yourself about what you're experiencing. You lie. We can't get nowhere when we're not moving in truth. Can't do it. So we have to get into a place where we're looking at ourselves honestly. That's number one part of self-awareness. Then when we're honest, we come into alignment with what we've already said makes the most sense for our life. And then we make a decision. And even if that decision turns out to be unfavorable, we are okay. We are okay. And we're going to keep moving. A lot of high achievers in this space, one of the greatest struggles is looking at everything in the format of a checklist and a checkbox. I know this because that's who I am. I'm a high achiever myself. I do a lot. One of the things I've had to grow in is not continuously cling to the external as evidence that the things internal are growing. Oh, y'all got to stick around for this. This plays a role in self-awareness. Notice how in this same triangle, getting to the top never had to change what was experienced in this mountain. This mountain didn't have to move as we might pray. God moved this mountain. This mountain didn't have to move out the way. The breakup didn't have to cease. This person didn't have to stay because if they stayed, I wouldn't be feeling this way. The job didn't have to accept us. The business opportunity didn't have to stay with us because in the event that it did, I wouldn't have to go through all this. We were able to look at the external mountain, whatever that mountain is, decisions, disagreements, conversations, arguments. I got cheated on, infidelity, whatever the story is. That didn't have to move to give myself permission to overcome it. What changed was when I gave permission for my internal world to have leverage over my external experience. The win, y'all, is not getting this to change so fast. A lot of high achievers, especially in this space, what y'all love to do is y'all like to hurry to results because you're solution-based. I love it for you. Solution-based thinking, beautiful. Logic predominant, beautiful. But one of the greatest struggles that I've seen in high achievers in this space is that we have to feel like we need to make immediate change. We've lived by a life where A plus B always equals C. Okay. A plus B always equals C. Okay. If I do this and I do that, I'm always going to get this outcome. Here's the problem with that, y'all, is that has us living in a loop of certainty in decisions and solutions. That has us living in certainty that we are dependent on in order to live peacefully. And we weren't prepared when A plus B gave us Z. I don't understand, coach. I sent the messages. I was consistent. I sent the good morning and good night text. I don't understand, coach. I said all the right things. I said I feel instead of leading with blame. I don't understand, coach. I held her hand. I held his hand. I said it in the most kind way. I was respectful. I don't understand, coach. I was consistent. I was loving. I did all the things TikTok told me to do to make me prepared. How am I still on the other end of this divorce? How am I still on the other end of this breakup? How is it that I did all these things and they still said no, they're not interested? Because I thought doing this was supposed to guarantee that. This is what high achievers have to understand. Something that I've grown to understand. I'm continuing to apply in various ways. And I'm just asking you to join, coach, because this is a life experience that we're building on here. Okay. What is amazing and what you have to understand is we don't need these solutions to be exactly as we predicted them to be at peace. Here's another way to put at it. We don't need to put our peace in the hands of solutions, y'all. We don't need to put our peace in the hands of the external being exactly as we defined it, because that is not anything else but controlling. That is not anything else but being a control freak. You have to have all the answers. It has to make sense. It has to respond fast. It has to be exactly how you wanted it to be. And now we're moving in control freak mannerisms, y'all. And that inner control freak can go crazy. And it's most tested when you don't have an explanation behind what's happening. I'm telling y'all, as an achiever, a high achiever, instead of constantly checking off these checklists, I did that. So then that should be the result. Your greatest challenge in this healing space is not to add to your checklist. It's to be okay in the event that you did what you were supposed to do and you didn't see an immediate result, because the immediate result was never supposed to be measured by what you accomplished externally. The immediate result was supposed to reflect how you've grown internally and how your internal world is now approaching your external world a lot differently. This is going to be your greatest challenge and yet your greatest win. Because when you get this, now, instead of needing A plus B to equal C, you realize that when you did all you were supposed to do and the result didn't come out where it was supposed to be, you can still get you some rest. A lot of y'all can't get no rest, can't get no peace, can't sleep, because you still believe there was something left on the table. I had to do more. If I did more, I didn't do enough. No. We did what was needed. And if that was the result, let the chips fall where they may. Because my peace is not going to come from everything being exactly how I said they should be, how I needed them to be, how I wanted them to be. They're going to come. The peace is going to come from me knowing I did all I needed to, and the result was the result. And sometimes your greatest growth isn't when the external changes immediately after you apply and went through your checklist. Your greatest growth is going to be when you constantly experience the same thing and you have a different approach. We've been through this before. Okay. Let's just stick with this. Last thing. Y'all getting this for free. I don't want to hear nothing. This premium coaching is off the hook. Y'all should see these clients. I don't want to hear nothing. Look at this. Okay. Look at this. I only have this marker. I can't really. Okay. Okay. Anyway, I want y'all to catch this because this is going to bless you. And then I'm done. If you have questions, I'll take them. I'm gone. Okay. The difference between the person, y'all probably can't see because the board is messy. Okay. But look at the circled people here and up top. Okay. I might have a different marker for y'all. Let me try to highlight it with something different here. The main goal that we're after here, okay, as we said earlier, okay, this mountain didn't have to change. Okay. It was just the stories that both people are telling themselves. Okay. We got that. We got that on lock. The story you tell yourself is the difference between you being buried by a mountain and overcoming the mountain. Okay. The next thing that you have to understand outside of the story that you tell yourself, which is probably the most important, okay, is that two people can have the same experience but different results. Two people can have the same experience but have different results. So this person again, relationship problem, okay, whatever you want to label it. It was a breakup, okay. I got cheated on. All right. Um, I got rejected, ghosted. Y'all can't see that. The marker's fading. Okay. I got ghosted. I got cheated on. Nobody is pursuing me. Okay. Nobody is expressing interest in me. All the things. Okay. Maybe y'all can see that a little bit. All right. So this person at the bottom of the mountain that can't get past it. Well, we just said the stories are repeating themselves is from it's very reactive. It's from emotional states. So they can't really overcome it. Okay. Because they're stewing and dwelling in stories that they're just allowing themselves to cultivate and rehearse the guilt, the shame, the sadness, the anxieties, the fear, all the things that are stewing down there. Okay. But what's also interesting about this is in the event of feeling stuck, okay, this person still has the same options that this person did. What's the difference? What did we say earlier about self awareness? Decisions. Because when you become aware of where you're at and what you're feeling, you have the ability to make a different decision, y'all. That's all I want to give y'all. Y'all have the ability to make a different decision. If you're sad about something and you're like, man, I've been noticing I've been stewing and dwelling over the sadness. We're not saying that there isn't a time and space to feel it, but sometimes we have gotten so comfortable with this messaging of needing to stay stuck in certain emotions in order to grieve through it. I've been one of those people that have probably influenced quite a few people to do that. And it came from a healthy and well meaning place. And I do think that there's still a time and space where, as you're grieving, take your time. I can't tell you how long to grieve, but let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Your life is not meant to grieve forever. And when you recognize that you're sad over something that you're learning you don't have to be sad over, why stay sad? That don't mean you're nonchalant and you're being avoidant because you made a decision to switch up your emotional state from sadness to excitement to contentment to joy. That means that you became aware that this doesn't make sense for me to stay at anymore. And that I don't have to walk around with a low face, feeling empty, feeling hollow, and people asking me what's wrong. I don't know, so I say nothing, or I do know, and I'm too afraid to speak. I gotta be that person that everybody has to walk on eggshells around all day, or vice versa. I get the ability to make a decision to shift my state. Nothing changed about this relationship, but this person at the bottom got stuck because of what they were rehearsing. This person was able to get to the top of the mountain and overcome it because of the story that they were rehearsing that was more a reflection of abundance instead of lack, and they made a decision to lean into that. And what's amazing about this mountain is for this person to really overcome it. This is where a lot of you are, and oftentimes in experiences. I'm not saying that once you change the story, all of a sudden you've overcome the breakup, the rejection. I'm saying there are going to be things that you're going to experience in your life with this mountain, whatever this mountain is for your life. You're going to experience this and you're going to run into a reality where you're going to see the same thing over and over and over again. I wish I could tell y'all that if you followed the blueprint and the formula to a T, you're only going to deal with it once and you're never going to have to deal with it again. But as part of being a high achiever, one thing I had to learn was that there are some formulas that I took some places that just don't work for the season of life I'm in. Let this be a lesson to all of you. I went and played, I hooped, and I wanted to go pro. Your boy had dreams of doing it all. Okay. COVID hit, changed some things. Okay. But one of the things that I learned quickly in hooping that couldn't apply to the business that I'm building is that if I just follow this formula, everything was going to be okay. Yeah, if I just post enough content because I'm used to volume, if I do enough and if I'm in the gym long enough and if I get enough shots up, it's impossible to not get better. And eventually this stuff is just gonna start falling, money's just start gonna coming in, all the things. And what I realized, what was creating a lot of the frustration with the help of coaching on my in my life, okay, was that I couldn't apply the same formula that worked in basketball and business because it don't. I know not everybody was in the gym with me shooting, but that also doesn't mean that I need to still stay in the gym all day and all night getting shots up when that's not the name of the game. I learned a lot from being on the grind. I also learned a lot about what it means to come out of it too. And one of the things that I learned a lot from it is that when I do what was necessary, I can let the chips fall where they may and get me some rest at night. Okay. One of the greatest differences, man, is you're going to continuously encounter certain mountains like these. You're going to wake up every day after the breakup, and you're going to have those thoughts, you're going to have those emotions, you're going to have those feelings. Got cheated on, you're dealing with some infidelity, it's a divorce, loss of a loved one, whatever the case is. It's very real, very real. And you're going to wake up to a reality that you probably don't want to experience and face. And you're going to look at a reality that's different than one that you're visualizing, that's more abundant, that's more clear, that's more happy, that's more exciting, all the things. But the greatest win is when you keep walking into that mountain and you continuously hold the new story that reflects more abundance than lack against it. That is where the growth is, y'all. That's where the growth is. Not needing this to change, not needing your spouse to change, not needing your loved one to change, not needing your family to be better and different. The greatest win is going to come from when you keep encountering it. I wish I could tell y'all that it's going to switch up. I wish I could tell y'all that it's going to be sunshine and rainbows applying all this and now I won't have to deal with it no more. I got a quick answer, quick solution and I'm over it. No. Real life, y'all, there are gonna be some days you wake up and your account is gonna still read the negative because your check don't hit till Friday, and you got a couple more days left to make it until you gotta figure something out. Truth is you're gonna wake up and you're going to still have to deal with the repercussions of this person that decided that they no longer were interested and they rejected you and they walked away. And I still have to deal with that emotion. I still have to deal with that feeling. I still have to acknowledge the reality that I'm no longer getting good morning and good night messages. They're no longer calling me and FaceTiming me at night. And I got to get used to that. I got to get used to the truth that I won't know why this person said no, and I don't know why this person won't apologize. And I don't know why you're gonna have, yes, you're gonna wake up every day and that reality is there. The family didn't change, people didn't change, but your internal world is what's giving you leverage to approach it differently. And even though the external didn't change immediately, in a way it did because you're now seeing it differently. You're now seeing it differently. This is where the abundance and peace, y'all, really comes from. Not from everything externally being exactly how we want it to be. This is really where a lot of the harder work is. But if we embrace it, the relationships, the the healing, the marriage, the dating, all these things just move differently. One of the greatest things that I'm learning in my dating experience, different dating differently now compared to how I once did, was realizing that my security and my fullness is screaming louder than ever. I'm walking around in these dating streets like, man, to be honest, I'm good on everything, and it's not even from a place of I'm seeing the craziest stuff and I don't want no parts. It's like, no, I'm so full. I'm not waiting by the phone for messages. I'm not clinging and pressing to talk to somebody, having somebody in my phone, all the things, and it's the fullest experience ever because anything anybody else can give is an addition, not the necessity. And that's what changes the game. And now when you have relationships and you build connections with people, it comes from a better place of fullness. Instead of thinking I need to check off boxes and things need to respond accordingly, and I'm looking for immediate results because you're used to that in business. You're used to that in closing deals. You're used to that in your clientele. You're used to that in your work. You're used to that in any other area of your life. Hey, listen, y'all, in the infinite game of life, that's not how this works. I want you to walk into your day and I want you to realize that maybe this doesn't change today. That doesn't mean that I still can't create the change I want to see by dealing with my internal world. instead of waiting for my external to look favorable. So when you say you have a relationship problem again, I need you to slow down and ask yourself, well, is it a relationship problem or is it a belief problem? Is it a relationship problem or is it an identity problem? Is it a relationship problem or is it a hurry problem? Is it a relationship problem or is it a self awareness problem? Because some of y'all don't really, and I'm stuck on this self awareness piece because I really need y'all to get this. Some of y'all just ain't honest. Some of y'all just ain't honest. If I had to define self awareness, I'm going to define it by Dr. Zeb's definition, not my own. Okay. Honesty about who you are, where you are, and what you're doing at any given moment. Self awareness, honesty about who you are, where you are, and what you're doing at any given moment. Some of y'all just ain't honest. You don't have a relationship problem like that. You just don't like him. So why don't you just be honest and say you don't like him and let that man go instead of fighting yourself to not reject him and not say no because you don't want to hurt his feelings? He'll be okay. He's a big boy. He can take it. You don't have a relationship problem, my guy. You just don't like her. Every little thing she do is annoying and it's just who she is. You don't like her. So say that and stop clinging to her, acting like one, she's the only one, or two, like it just can't like you're just some obligated individual to make this and see this through. I promise you she is going to fall a whole lot more in love with somebody who really wants her than the way you acting. Let her go. And stop playing games. Some of us just aren't honest enough. And I have too much respect for my time and I got too much respect for the time of others to be dishonest about what I see and what I want. And it makes a huge difference. I hope this made sense. Any questions? Put one in the chat if this was helpful. Oh, put a one in the chat if this was helpful. I hope it was. Hope you got something out of this. And if there's any questions, I'll take them. I got about like 5 minutes. But that's the name of the game, man. We don't have a relationship problem like we say we do. Oftentimes it's what it's revealing in us that we have a bigger problem with. And if we're able to deal with that, y'all, I promise you, even as a high achiever, you're able to put some things into better systems and experience healthy relationships along the way. Makes a difference. Okay. I appreciate you guys a lot for tuning in. I don't see any questions. So listen, be sure to go to the top of my page on my socials, okay, on my Instagram and TikTok. There you'll be able to get a free relational diagnostic. Okay. And be sure to get that. If you are interested in a one-on-one session, you heard something from this, you're like, bro, we got to work together. Go to my YouTube description. All right. In this live right now or in my most recent video. Okay. And be sure to click that link to book your one-on-one call. That is there. Okay. It can be our biggest weakness when we're honest with everyone except ourselves. Absolutely. Absolutely. It can be our biggest weakness. We have to be honest about ourselves. If we're not honest and we're not living in honesty, y'all, we're wasting time. We're wasting time. And some of us are more afraid of the truth than anything else. And I think this is something that will make a massive difference in the life you live. Okay. So be sure to check those things out. New content on the way. I just dropped my latest secure dating vlog. All right. On my TikTok, Instagram, all the things. It should be uploaded on YouTube soon. Okay. So be sure to check that out. Follow me along on that journey. I'm literally putting all of this stuff into practice and into play with y'all, for y'all, in front of y'all, for y'all to see what these things really look like. Okay. A lot of people talk about dating, rant about dating, have lessons and talks on dating. I want to actually do all that and show you it in real time. All right. So be sure to check that out. I got 4 episodes uploaded in that vlog series currently. More is on the way. And if you can't do anything else, be sure to follow, subscribe, YouTube. Thank you so much for your time and for your attention. Be sure to subscribe over on YouTube. Be sure to follow over on TikTok. Follow all my social platforms. Okay. Coach Sean Walker on all handles YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And I'm excited to continue doing this journey with you, building security that lasts beyond marriage and helping high achieving women land the same success in relationships as business. Okay. I'm so excited. And I can't wait to keep talking to you for more. Until next time, be easy and be breezy. Peace.